it's as bad as I am describing. My purpose for being here is to get myself together, get my mind together, because I've been, every single time I get undermined, I go into a very light place and it destroys me, and I feel like, I just want to destroy myself because I can't win. I'm the most courteous to people. I'm the most loving to people. I care about people. I'm doing the right things in the universe, right? But it's always, and these are usually white institutions. These are usually white ran institutions employing black faces to be the face.
So that's the case here.
Well, that's the case in most of the institutions that I found. These are one of them.
Well, let me share something with you.
But I don't want to be taken out. I don't want to be taken out of context, though.
Just so you have a context. We had an executive director here for 7 years. He left on his own. Who is black?
I remember him.
Yeah, and this is not a race-based. In fact, I'm barely the only white guy on staff, which I don't really give a hoot about whether we're white or black. And we covered a lot of this in class. I was hoping it was penetrating. Anyway,
I do want to. I have to say this because when a question is asked to me, I must follow through with the answer. You ask, "Why are you here?" I am here, like I said, to get my mind together. Why? So that I can go out into the community and be of the most constructive effect because I belong to my community. Now, what's going to happen, what I see happening, which I already saw it happening. When we went out to the parking lot, you guys said, hey, well, I need to send you guys that way. I already know it's a game of chess. It's like, okay, I wasn't able to send him then, but I'm going to go into the room, right? And I'm going to check down the point system and say, hey, his room was dirty. And I'm going to report this, that. The ultimate goal is for me to get him either downtown off of this premises or get him out of here, period. That's okay. I am settled with that because I understand that all of this is a chess game. And once again, I have to say, I appreciate the fact that I'm able to communicate this with you, but it's all a chess game. And the chess is racism, white supremacy versus a system of justice.
Okay. So do you believe then, I just have one last question.
Absolutely.
Do you believe then that it is, you are to be God's representative, Messiah, Savior, prophet, teacher, whatever word you want to throw in there, that it's your job then to be here and warn others about the system and how even at times CRM maybe would be part of the oppressive system. Do you feel like that's your responsibility?
No, this is what I am under this system of racism, of global white supremacy. Okay. I am just a prisoner of war. I'm just a prisoner who has been duped like every other prisoner.
Do you believe you're a prisoner here?
I'm a prisoner in the global system of racism, white supremacy.
Okay. Well, there is a scripture since you're bringing up the Pharisees and Jesus, and you're feeling like you're being persecuted like Jesus was persecuted, if I understood you right. Does that put you on the same level as him in that sense?
I'm absolutely on the same level.
As Jesus?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One thing that I believe a lot of the religious, especially the Christian religion, which is the gatekeeper of white supremacy, one thing that I am taught is that I ain't nothing. I'm nothing. You're nothing. You can't do nothing. But in fact, no, you can do much. And that's a reason why a lot of the non-white and black people in particular are here today, is because they believe I can do nothing. And then what they do deep down is they start to believe that white people are God. They start to see, like, if you go into most of, black churches, just like if you go into Mr. Reggie Bridges' office, what do you see? You see a white Jesus picture. That is what we see. We see, okay, white is God. That's why we're so courteous to you guys, and we're so okay, yes, and so afraid.
So
but when it comes down to dealing with other non-white people or black people in particular, we're hostile because we know, hey, you have no power, just like I don't have any power. So I'm gonna screw with you.
Well, do you see us teaching that here?
Teaching what?
What you just said about white supremacy and that the black person can do nothing and all this kind of stuff. Do you see us teaching that here?
Do I see you guys teaching that? Well, Christianity teaches that.
Okay.
In general, it teaches that in general.
Okay. Well, if the scriptures don't teach that, but we already covered that in class, but the scriptures don't teach that. As far as the pictures, my personal opinion, my opinion.
Yes, sir.
I don't like pictures of Jesus. I don't like pictures of Jesus, period. Because we don't have a physical description of him at all, other than that he was probably pretty average looking based on Isaiah 53. My guess would be probably look more black or Arabic, or at least Semitic than he would. I don't really personally care for those. That's Reggie's choice. If you notice, I don't have one, and I don't want one with a white Jesus or a black Jesus or a purple Jesus or a green one, because I don't see that in the Word. Now, so just one last thing then, I guess, Simeon, just so I understand you, where you're at. So if we're on the same level as Jesus, and in your calling to preach the truth, is what I'm hearing.
Let me say, it's not a calling. It's just normal stuff. It's not a calling. It's not meant to be.
Well, you said your God called you to teach.
Absolutely. Okay. It's just like God called you, right? This is what I'm saying. It's just like God called you to make sure that you have food in your system, because you get hungry. Okay. It's just like God called you to make sure you have something to drink.
This is so much a part of you that it's like you got to just do
It's a part of all of us.
Okay. And so would you feel then that you are, then if we're on the same level, I just want to try to understand what you believe, that you're in some way a Messiah or a Savior in any way?
Like I said, I'm just a prisoner of war. If I was a Messiah, I would think, I would have already replaced the system of racism, white supremacy with a system of justice.
Okay.
What is justice? Justice is nobody is allowed to be mistreated under any circumstances. Okay. It doesn't matter what. However, those who need the most help gets the most constructive help. I would have already done that. I'm no Messiah. I'm no leader.
Okay.
I'm just another prisoner of war. If the white supremacists want it, pow, just like that.
All right. Well, I guess that puts me into the category of a white supremacist.
Not all white people, this is the thing, not all white people are white supremacists. The most powerful are white supremacists. And what they do is they hide in plain sight. Okay. Now, you do have those who are suspect white supremacists. That does not make them white supremacists. That just means, okay, if I'm noticing suspect behavior that I would see a white supremacist do, I would say, okay, that's a suspect white supremacist. It doesn't mean that the person is.
So is your philosophy, I'm kind of curious, is your philosophy really similar to, say, Louis Farrakhan's philosophy?
Louis Farrakhan is a Muslim, and I'm not a Muslim. My religion is, if anything, I'm a prisoner of war, and I don't want to be a prisoner of white supremacy anymore.
Okay.
Right. And what is a religion? It's a strong belief backed up by action.
Okay.
That's all it is. So, in the words of Dr. Neely Fuller. So, what I do is in the African proverb, each one teach one. Don't celebrate, educate, because you have nothing to celebrate for. Why, as a prisoner of war, as a prisoner of white supremacy, why are you celebrating? There's nothing that you have to celebrate. What you should be doing is you should be focusing on establishing justice. Be what you want to see. Treat everyone with the most courtesy, and those who need the most help, give them the most constructive help. Learn how to be the most logical.
Well, this is an effort maybe to help. I hope to help you. Okay, this isn't what you just said. How does that correlate with the video that you sent to Jamie? How is that constructive? How is that logical? How is that productive?
Because what the video is, right? It's called Dickzilla. There is a principle that I gotten from Dr. Neely Fuller called VGQ, Victims Guaranteed Qualifications, VGQ.
Dr. Neely Fuller?
Neely Fuller.
Is it F-U-L-L-E-R?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
N-E-A-L-Y?
N-E-E-L-Y.
Okay.
F-U-L-L-E-R.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, many aren't. His concept is called VGQ. What it means is Victims Guaranteed Qualifications. What that means is, as a victim of white supremacy, I am guaranteed and qualified to be able to talk about whatever's happened to me and how it's affected me under white supremacy. Okay. I cannot go to a woman who's been raped, right, and tell her how she's supposed to feel about her situation, about her victimization and under being raped. It doesn't make logical sense. No. She has to speak the way she chooses to speak about her situation. I didn't go through what she's went through. I may have an opinion or a recommendation on how she should feel, but at the end of the day, it's her who went through what she went through. So I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to listen. That is called VGQ. That is what I express in every single one of my songs, and in my books. VGQ. That means when I talk about the song Dickzilla, how is that logical? It's logical because that's something I went through under racism. I went into the jobs. I had my suit and tie. I didn't scratch where I didn't itch. I didn't dance if I didn't like the music, just like I do here. And what happened was the upper room, which were usually white males, they looked and they said, well, what's up with that nigga? He's not bowing and scraping. He's not fetching, scratching, and he's not shaking if he doesn't like the music. He's not trying to make me feel comfortable. So they usually had a black person who they would send over to me.
Yeah, I heard you shared that.
The black person they would send over to me, and he would fire me.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. Because I'm curious to understand how you're viewing some things. So do you see then, say Pastor Cruz, because he's kind of like, I see this parallel that I think might be going on in your mind about the one who's firing you, kind of thing, because he's definitely black, he's definitely not white. Do you see him then as just being subservient to the white system? Is that how you're seeing it? That he's like being used as a tool to keep black people down, or how are you seeing this?
I see the situation with Pastor Cruz getting rid of me because of my conduct, he says, as self-preservation, and that is okay. This is an example of self-preservation. The black male, young black male, is over there saying, hey, we need justice, we need justice, we need justice. The older black male sees the young black male doing that, and he looks at the white male and he says, hey, I'm not with him. He's just running his mouth. I'm with you. You have the resources. I'm with you. He can, whatever you want to do, we can get rid of him. That is okay. I have to make sure I do not blame the victim, Because the victim is just operating as a victim. The victim is going through what the victim has to go through under the system of racism, white supremacy, just like I do.
So in other words, all of this with Pastor Cruz and what he's talking to you about, then it comes down to, if I understand you correctly, is that he's just doing he's doing this for self-preservation, and because his resources or whatever are being threatened, and so he's doing it as a sense of self-preservation, and that's okay because he's really a victim, and maybe he doesn't see it that he's a victim.
Now, I'm not saying that that is what his situation is. Okay. I am saying that that's what I suspect his situation is.
That's kind of how you're seeing that. So is he, in your mind, then he's a victim?
All non-white people in general, black people in particular, all black people in general, black men in particular, all black men in general, and young black men in particular are victims of racism, white supremacy.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't deny that there isn't still stuff out there like that. I mean, I'm not, I'd be foolish to think that. But I think the danger, if I could offer a suggestion, is if you across the board that you're actually going to undermine your own success without realizing it. That's the case. In other words, you could maybe create a scenario within your own life that would cause you to be placed in a position where there's nothing but a failure, but not at the hand of someone else, but out of your own creation. But if you're not careful, Simeon, you could invert that the other direction and justify that as, well, I'm just a victim to the system.
Well,
and
99
never really fully take responsibility for your own actions. That's the danger I see in some of the way that you're thinking. And that can happen to anyone. It's not a black or white thing. I've seen white people do the same thing. I've seen rednecks rednecks or what people call rednecks, people out in a broken down trailer in the middle of Oklahoma, talk about the man and white, and he can't get ahead, and blah blah blah. And I've seen that happen too. That's a mentality that can come in from various sources. And if you're not careful, you could actually undermine your own good. For instance, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but a guy. If the guy in the trailer, the white guy in the trailer who's barely got anything, begins to become a problem at work, or he's not showing up on time, or he's whatever, maybe disrespectful. If he's sending videos to the female staff, okay, talking about black supremacy. We'll just flip it on its head.
Well, you can only have one supremacy.
Yeah.
That supreme means only one.
It's not a possibility ever that a black person could be racist.
No, because racism is a power thing. See, that's where the victims are the most confused about their victimization.
Okay, so it's not a possible thing to be of another race other than white and be a racist.
In white supremacy, you can only have white racism. Racism is white supremacy, and white supremacy is racism. Okay, well,
let me ask you this.
There is no other racism.
So is it possible that if you had a minority of whites, say in Rwanda, and it's 98% black, and there was racism going on, is that possible? Could a black person be racist?
Under a system of racism, white supremacy, because logic. You can only have white supremacy. Okay. It doesn't matter. You may be 5 out of 100 white people in Rwanda, and 100 and surrounded by 100 black people.
Well, let's put it this way.
But as long as there is a global system of racism, white supremacy, it is only white supremacy.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Interesting point of view. Well, thank you for sharing.
No problem. No problem. And the last thing that I did want to touch on, which I've enjoyed, the education, but when it comes down to black people, they are very, They are confused about their victimization. You mentioned earlier, hey, you will cause this to happen to yourself because of the way you're thinking. Well, 99.999% of all the bad things that happen to me is because of racism, white supremacy. According to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, it's all because of racism, white supremacy.
He'd be interesting to look up. How do you spell his last name?
No, that's a she.
Oh.
Francis, regular way. Cress, 2 S's. Welsing.
Wellsing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
now, what I am doing, right? I am, which a lot of other blacks, they know that, okay, if I don't talk about racism, white supremacy, then they won't put as much of a hurting on me. I won't experience as much disagreement, disapproval, discomfort, and ultimately death. Me, I decide to call it out so that we can understand what it is, how it works, ultimately, how to replace it with a system of justice. What I am experiencing at this moment, I'm experiencing the discomfort side. I am experiencing the disapproval side. I am experiencing the disagreement side. If I continue to go, I can expect death. Now,
let me make sure I get this. So in other words, all of that we're doing, all the things that have happened to you is a form of white supremacy keeping you down in some way. Am I correct?
Well, I don't want to say keeping me down because that sounds like a slogan. I don't really know what that means.
A form of white supremacy to cause you to be quiet or to shut up or not express yourself. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what you feel you need to do is that in order for you to be truthful and genuine, you need to speak up and go forward with that anyway, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes you. Am I correct with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, and if it causes you to, quote, lose your life or like Jesus be persecuted or in some way, maybe be put out of a program or lose a job or whatever it might be. It's because of the white supremacy system, even here. And it's your responsibility to go ahead and make sure that your view, which you think is the truth, is expressed anyway, because that's what you're called to do. For you to be a warrior, in a sense, to fight against the system. Am I correct?
Well, I can't say I'm a warrior. Okay. I desire to be a warrior. But I am a prisoner of war. I am a prisoner of racism, white supremacy.
So it's a prisoner thing, right now. But your goal is to be a warrior at some point.
I desire to be a warrior. Not necessarily my goal. My goal is to replace the system of racism, white supremacy with a system of justice.
That's interesting. Okay. All right. And so our system here is not just, basically, is what I'm hearing. From you.
Well, you can't have justice in a world of injustice, and racism, white supremacy is unjust.
So what would have to happen then is at some point the world would have to flip upside down and only black people run the world. Is that correct?
That's not justice. You don't want to replace white supremacy with black supremacy. That's not justice.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's not justice.
It wouldn't be justice. Okay. Well, thank you, Simeon.
No problem, and thank you.
I at least I know what you believe really thoroughly, and I appreciate you sharing that.
And this meant a lot to me, Mr. Broadhurst. From me being here, you, right, have proven to be an excellent diplomat. You know, there's many things that we don't agree on, and you have aggressive behaviors that I take offense to, you know, because I view it as an attack on me. However, at the end of the day, you have proven to be an excellent diplomat that I will say. So I appreciate it. Okay. And I'll talk to you on the other side when we meet up again.
Okay. And whatever happens, know that doesn't change. I still love you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
That never changes. That's God's love.
Okay.
And Okay. Well, we're, as Pastor Cruz said, we're all in
All right.
meeting. We'll see what's in everybody's best interest. That's the way we try to approach it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you later.